Iran has opened its doors to the world's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, part of a deal with 6 world powers aimed at preventing the country from building an atom bomb. In exchange, Iran is starting to recover billions in assets frozen by UN-backed sanctions, though the trade embargoes remain in place to pressure for a final agreement. Critics say all the moves are reversible, that Iran could secretly divert bomb-building personnel and facilities deep underground, immune from airstrikes. Iran's new president, Hassan Rouhani, is credited with the initial nuclear deal. But with Ayatollah Ali Khamenei remaining the supreme leader, is Iran just buying time? Hello, I'm Chris Burns, and welcome to The Network. Hard talk with a matrix of newsmakers. Wired into this edition, here from the European Parliament in Brussels, Tarja Kronberg, Finnish MEP, chair of the delegation for relations with Iran, and she's with the group of Greens European Free Alliance. From the studio of Euronews in Brussels, His Excellency Mahmoud Bahremani, Iran's ambassador to the European Union. And from Vienna, Robert Kelly, Associate Senior Research Fellow. He's with the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Welcome to all of you. And a question to all of you, starting with Tarja. There is a new round of talks going on in Vienna toward a final agreement. How serious do you think Iran is in opening its nuclear program to the world, or is it just buying time?
The political will is there. So my impression is that Iran is very serious. The IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and Iran has had fairly good cooperation. There are a few points where there are disagreements. So my impression is there is political will, it is serious, and we hope for results.
Ambassador, how much political will do you see on both sides going into these talks?
Iran's peaceful nuclear program is an inseparable component of Iran's comprehensive national development plans. And this program is under the IAEA monitoring, and we are absolutely serious in pursuing this program in a transparent manner.
Well, Robert, you're over there in Vienna where the talks are going on. How serious do you think Iran is and the West are in reaching an agreement?
Well, I think Iran is completely serious. They've been cooperating with the IAEA on nuclear materials monitoring for a very long time. Now they've agreed to do a lot more in terms of allowing the IAEA in, and they've made a huge concession by diluting this 20% material that they've spent a number of years and millions of dollars producing. That's a huge concession, and I take that very seriously. Okay,
well then, it seems like you all agree, but then what about sanctions? Do you think sanctions should be lifted now? Some are arguing for that. Tarja.
I think sanctions should be lifted at the time of the final agreement. It's important that both parties, both P5 plus one and Iran, follow the rules now for this agreement, and we'll see the sanctions lifted when there's a final deal.
Well, Ambassador, those sanctions are really crushing to your economy right now. Would you like to see them go now, or do you understand that the West insists on keeping them now?
In our view, sanctions have been unlawfully and unjustifiably imposed.
Okay, well, but Robert, you know, some of these sanctions are aimed at preventing dual-use kinds of materials from going to Iran that could be used to build a bomb. So do you think that the sanctions should remain in place right now?
I think there have to be some give and take. If Iran does things that they have said they will do, there should be some rewards for them in the interim. I don't think you can hold everything off until the end. So I would say that partial relief of sanctions would show good faith on the part of the P5 plus one.
Okay, but then what about critics who say that all this could be reversed, that Iran could actually be hiding a nuclear weapon producing program? Ambassador, how do you respond to those critics?
Iran is not and has never been pursuing military purposes in its nuclear activities. Secondly, based on Geneva Action Plan, everything, including, let's say, our own activities, could be reversed. And thirdly, the West should calculate what it has gained from sanctions and what achieved from interaction with Iran.
Okay, it comes down to, I guess, how much do we trust Iran in following through right now? Tarja, how much do you trust Iran?
I think it's up to the International Atomic Energy Agency to be able to verify and to have access to all the facilities. And it's a problem also for the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty that there's not a clear line between what is peaceful use and what is military use. And I hope that Iran will cooperate.
Okay, so maybe it's all about verification. Robert, do you think that there's enough verification going on now?
Yes, it's surprising how much emphasis has been put on, for example, these daily inspections at Natanz, which is a waste of time and money. The IAEA would be able to detect diversion in Iran within probably 2 weeks, and we're talking about a program with a timeline of months or weeks or years. So I think that IAEA has plenty of access right now, and they're using it very effectively.
Well, it's a matter of building, I guess, more centrifuges and the elements that you need. But what if Iran actually did swing back and start building a nuclear weapon and built one? Do you think that the international community should further isolate Iran, attack it, or engage in constructive engagement? Tarja.
If there is no final deal, of course, then the situation is different. Or if the situation is fragile now, so if there are some problems on the way, then there will be an arms race in the Middle East. And then also the fate of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty is in jeopardy.
Ambassador, does your country not reserve the right to build a nuclear weapon? That you're a sovereign country? Are you ready to say that you won't build one?
As I said in the previous, let's say, question, that Iran is not and has never been pursuing military purposes in its nuclear activities. And we are serious on that, and we, like any other party to the NPT, we would like to benefit from the peaceful use of nuclear energy. That's
okay.
all.
Let's shift a little bit wider to President Rouhani has been credited with opening up Iran beyond that aspect of the nuclear program, but opening up Iran in other ways. Robert, do you believe that's really serious? Do you think he's in charge enough to pull through with that?
Well, Chris, I really am here as an engineer talking about the nuclear weapons aspects of things, and I don't feel that I'm in a position to say what Rouhani is thinking or not thinking.
Okay, well, let's move over to Tarja. Please, yeah, go ahead, Tarja.
Yes, I think that Iran is serious about opening up the society. I think isolating a society in today's world is a very difficult position. It impedes trade, it impedes relationships, it impedes security. So Iran is, I think, serious about opening up. I think also we others have to be serious about actually having exchanges, cultural exchanges, environmental exchanges, all kinds of exchanges.
But Ambassador, what about skeptics who say, well, there's President Rouhani, but there's also Ayatollah Khamenei, who's seen as more of a hardliner? How can you maintain a policy of openness when you have two different, really very different leaders there?
Iran's foreign policy is based on constructive interaction with outside world, and that has been pursued ever since President Rouhani took office. And relations with the world should be based on mutual respect and on an equal, just, and fair basis. And we would like to have a mutually beneficial relations with the world.
Okay, and Robert, I guess this is probably the last question. Can you tell us, really, there are hardliners and moderates in the government. You have President Rouhani, you have Ayatollah Khamenei, and those who follow them. Are you seeing this as an engineer from that aspect? Is there really a sort of competition or a rivalry there that could prevent Iran from following through on a peaceful nuclear program?
No, I don't see that. I think the government is in control of what they're doing there, and that the engineers and scientists will do what they're asked to do. Certainly with respect to the reactor at Iraq that they're shutting down now and not working on anymore, and the centrifuges, the diluting of the material, we see the scientists following through on government instructions. So I'm very pleased with that aspect of it.
Okay, Robert, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. I'd like to thank our guests, Tarja Kronberg, His Excellency Mahmoud Barimani, and Robert Kelly. I'm Chris Burns, and until next time, thanks for connecting with The Network.